This is the Rough and Tumble Podcast, episode 8. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to our Patreon. We update that with new content pretty regularly. We've also got an Instagram that we're still trying to push. We just reached 100 followers and we're trying to get some more. You can listen to us on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, as well as Google Play. Please consider leaving a review and a rating for iTunes so we can grow there. And then this episode, we're going to be talking about Kevin Ives and Don Henry, the boys on the track. It's a conspiracy theory involving Arkansas and the Clintons. And we're going to be talking about that, as well as having a special guest on this episode because Mitch is out of town. We'll also be covering the Menzingers' new album, Hello Exile, as well as P.O.S.'s 10-year-old album, Never Better. So let's get into the episode.
You're listening to the Rough and Tumble Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, Mitch, why don't you start with telling us what you've been doing in Colorado, what you're out there for?
Well, I actually just got in today, and I went and visited my mom in Louisiana yesterday and left this morning at it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just drove straight here. It's a 14-hour drive.
That's brutal.
I haven't been to sleep yet, so.
Oh, that's good. That's probably really good.
Yeah.
So in lieu of you being gone, I wanted somebody to talk to on the podcast, so I brought my girlfriend, Lizzy Khaleghi, onto the show, or also known
Is that
as...
how you say your last name?
It's Khaleghi.
Khaleghi?
Yes.
Like Caligula?
Like Khaleghi, but Khaleghi.
Khaleghi.
That's right.
Perfect.
You got it.
Yep, nailed it.
That's about how everybody
Nailed it.
says it, so yes.
You can just call her Bop. That's what I call her. So
Not on the show.
Yeah, I know, I was
we
calling
have
her
to
that
be
the other day, and-
professional.
And then I realized that's probably like a pet name, and now there's 2 guys in the house calling her Bob.
yeah, we can share her. It's okay. No big deal.
Thanks for asking if you can share me.
Yeah, it's fine. I thought you agreed to it. Not a lot of people know this, but Bop is actually the number 1 Crossy Road player in the entire world.
Actually, number 2 now.
Oh, number 2. Okay.
Yeah.
She was number 1, though. If you don't remember what Crossy Road was, it was like Frogger. That was like never ending. And Bop
Oh, wow.
is the number 2 ranked in the world. That's not a joke either.
I'm not ranked number 2
How did
in
you
the
get
world.
into that sport?
It's been a lifelong dream. Just recently I've got number 2, so I'm pretty excited. It takes a lot of hard work. So
Are you bullshitting me right now?
If you're dedicated, you can probably get to number 3, but if you're extraordinary, you get to number 2.
She's not
What if you're
bullshitting.
extraordinary?
She 100% every single night, she'll sit on her phone and play.
No, not every night. I switch between Mario and
Oh, yeah,
Crossy
she's
Road.
been trying to be at Mario.
And then
Now, how do
Dr.
you know
Mar-
how do you know you're number 2 in the world?
I don't know I'm number 2 in the world. Johnny just says that.
No.
But you get ranked every day by how far you get. And right now I'm number 2, but usually I'm number 1.
She
So-
won't go to sleep at night until she's gotten into the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Like damn near every night. It's ridiculous.
I have to get at least into the top 3.
That's ridiculous. Is it just you and like a bunch of old ladies in a bingo hall somewhere?
I think it's like a bunch of old men and then like
That's probably
15-year-olds.
Probably a bunch of
Now
like
the 50-year-olds are too busy playing fucking Call of Duty.
yeah,
What's that other
Beating the
thing you
shit out of
guys
me.
play?
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
I don't play any of those games. Johnny wants me to do a Twitch video with him, and it's just going to be a whole video of me losing my fucking shit.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. I would love that.
Johnny just wants people to watch him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he sent me a video that literally said, "Hey, watch me."
Yeah. Oh, I'm not surprised.
It was me shaking my ass.
It was. He was squatting over
Nothing new.
a bucket of water. It was really weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
Were you wearing a cowboy hat?
Cowboy hat, and somehow you made the video black and white.
Oh,
How much
good.
did you get paid for that?
It was good money. I'm not gonna lie.
At least 1,000?
Yeah,
Okay.
at least you know my standards. I'm not gonna go below that.
Right.
I totally lost what we were talking about. We
Nobody
got
puts
off
Johnny
on
in a corner.
We got off on Crossy Road, and then
Yeah,
I kept
you
thinking you were saying
introduced me.
CrossFit Roads.
yeah, CrossFit Roads. That's
I thought Lizzy was like a CrossFit champion or something.
no,
No, I don't do CrossFit. The end.
but we can talk about it. So after I've gotten a lot of feedback from the last episode. I'm sure you have too.
I haven't. Nobody said a word to me.
Oh, really?
I guess they've realized that you're the leader of all this and that I'm just like the sideshow Bob.
Well, I mean, you are you are on the phone right now and not here in person, so
I'm on a business trip.
yeah, what a business trip. This is to grow our business.
I'm out here making connections. I'm trying to figure out how to start an LLC in Colorado.
The funny thing was, like, at this tournament at the AGF in Conway, I hear people talking about it, like, across the mats. Like, I heard somebody telling another person, "Oh, that's Jonny. Have you heard his podcast yet? Have you listened to his podcast?" Blah blah blah.
Seriously?
Yeah, dead serious. And I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. Like, they don't even know that I can hear him right now." So I was pretty
I
excited
thought the
about
conversations would be more like, "Hey, isn't that Mitch's friend Jonny? Have you listened to Mitch's podcast?"
that. Nope, that's not how it went at all. They were like,
God
"Dude,
damn it! Now it sucks.
I don't
I
even
really wish I'd
remember.
been there.
I don't even remember the other guy that he does it with, but Johnny's great." That's all I heard. No, I've had like lots of good feedback, and I think an important thing that we didn't express, and maybe we should start making like a disclaimer before we have people on: the opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the opinions of the people, of the hosts of the podcast.
No,
Speak for
you're
yourself.
exactly right.
Yeah.
We do, however, encourage them to express their opinion to the furthest extent possible.
Absolutely. I do want, like, I do want everybody to be able to fairly express themselves. Because, like, I have some freaking crazy ideas too. And so I know that. And I want people to hear about it. So I don't see any reason why other people, as long as it's not destructive to somebody, then I'm happy with it.
I think we've been okay.
But yeah, Bryce was great to have on the episode. He did a
I
really
agree
good job.
100%. He gave us even more content for later episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that actually like led into this one. We want to start doing conspiracy theories.
That's right.
Lizzy thinks that excuse me, Bob, I'll use your Christian name.
Please don't call
Don't use my slave name.
She thinks that maybe conspiracy theories are a little bit overdone. Like everybody's tired of hearing about it.
No. Not necessarily all conspiracy theories, just this particular one. I feel like a lot of people already know or have their own opinions of already.
Well, yeah, it happened in 1978, so I would assume that they had plenty of time to figure it out.
1987.
That's what I
And
said.
also, I think most of the people collectively
Said Joe
agree on one outcome.
One theory.
It's not
of it.
like so polarizing as like other conspiracy theories that you hear about.
Yeah, that's true. So what people that are wondering what we're talking about, we're looking at Kevin Ives and Don Henry, the boys on the tracks. They're a part of the Bill and Hillary Clinton, quote unquote murders that are connected to them, kind of loosely, but there's a
Yeah, they
handful
were
of them.
super loosely related to the Clinton hit list. But if anyone has seen what is it, Made in America was the movie about
with
the
Tom
SEAL
Cruise.
guy? Yeah, with Tom
Billy
Cruise.
Seal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's essentially what. So basically, this 15 and 16-year-old boy witnessed one of those drops that you see in the movie. Now, in the movie, it shows him doing it over some swamp or something in New Orleans, and then they start doing it around here, or I'm sorry, around there in Saline County. But supposedly, the boys were there when one of the drops took place.
Is it that specifically, or is it just drug related in general?
No, it was actually legitimate. It was like directly connected. What they would do is these SEAL would fly his plane like 200 feet off the ground along these railroad tracks, and then he would drop them along that route, so they would just fall onto the tracks instead of just falling randomly into the woods. And so one of the leading prosecutors was supposedly out there with another individual, and they were there to claim some of the drops.
The prosecuting attorney was later put in prison.
Yeah, twice. He was put in prison twice.
Mm-hmm.
For weird shit too. He was put in prison in Sheridan for selling pain pills.
Mhm.
Like, how the hell do you like? I know high school kids that are doing that, and this guy went to law school.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So here's a little thing about the so the Billy Seal stuff. Is that his name? Barry Seal, maybe?
Barry Seal.
Yeah, Barry Seal. So what he did was he was running drugs through the Mena Airport, which is a southern Arkansas town. And the theory is that the boys came upon one of Barry Seal's packages. The problem is with this theory is that I don't think it might have been a similar case. However, Barry Seal was murdered in 1986
In New Orleans.
by Medellin cartel.
By the cartel.
Right.
Interesting.
By hitmen. So I don't think that they could have necessarily stumbled upon one of Barry Seal specifically, but definitely.
But the operation itself, I suppose. Then I guess because Barry Seal started the operation. If you watch the movie Made in America, he recruited 3 to 4 other pilots.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
You know.
Well, and even at that, I mean, if they stopped operations, they could have easily still stumbled upon something after a year of being closed. You know.
Right.
And then the same thing or something very similar happened a few years earlier in Oklahoma.
Oh, did it? I didn't know about
Remember we were listening to that? Yeah. So I think the coincidence, I think there's too many instances where things are too similar.
Definitely, yeah. The thing that sold it for me, so there's like we really jumped right into this conspiracy theory. Look at us go. The death of the witnesses, that's like that is
which
the
is typical
number
Bill
one
Clinton.
selling
Like
thing.
that's typical Clinton stuff right there.
Typical Bill, dude. I tell you, every time I run into Bill, he's got another list of murders he's racking up.
He's the only person I know that's ever convinced somebody to commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head twice.
Yeah,
It's the weirdest shit.
right?
So speaking of which,
Mhm.
the coroner, that worked for the state of Arkansas, when one of the moms was wanting to reopen the case, well, the coroner had done his autopsy report, and he deemed it an accident. He said that they had died, but from getting he said they smoked 22 joints of marijuana cigarettes.
No, 12.
No, I have it right here. It's right in front of me. It says 20. So
20.
we'll average it to 20. Wikipedia article says 20.
I read 12.
Regardless, I've done some experimenting in my days, and I've never just
Impossible.
passed out on a railroad track.
Well, first of all, how would you have enough money to buy that many joints of marijuana?
Yeah, that's a lot of freaking money.
How old were they?
Where
17?
would you carry that?
17.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's think logistically. Like, is there an ammo pouch of just like joints?
Yeah.
Pocket
You
full
know,
of
like
joints?
who carries 20 joints on them at a time?
That's insanity.
No.
That would never. This is also 1987 when that kind of story might fly, where people are like, oh yeah, they were on marijuana.
Still not, you know.
Yeah, marijuana cigarettes. They were crazy on the reefer.
They were on the marijuana cigarettes. What I like to pretend is that it wasn't 22 or 20 small joints. They were sitting around smoking one giant 8-inch circumference joint.
Yeah, they put 22 together and made a mega joint.
They did. They wrapped it in duct tape.
Also,
and then they passed out on the tracks.
Also, 1987, I wouldn't put it past that era for kids to be doing that because my parents were doing a whole lot of that. 1987, I was in the womb. So, yeah, they were smoking a whole lot of weed in 1987. Yeah, so, I mean, like, I wouldn't put it past that timeline. So, we haven't even described actually what the incident that took place was that led to their death. And basically, these two boys went out hunting. I read one story that they picked up a couple of other friends that went with him. Is that correct? Did anybody else read
Yes,
about that?
there were a couple of witnesses that were on the tracks as well that saw
Yeah.
what happened.
One of them is very not credible, and we'll go into
Right.
that. The rest of them are pretty credible. But anyways, the two boys, from what I understand, picked up some friends and they went hunting. They had a .22 rifle with them. They went hunting, and then they were going spotlighting, and
which is illegal.
Right. That's exactly what I said.
Was it illegal
Bob
back
read it.
then?
Oh yeah,
It's been illegal since the caveman days.
Oh,
Yeah.
since cavemen were okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cavemen
they
weren't
were
allowed
using-
to flash flashlights into
That's
the
right.
woods
Just
and
shooting.
shoot people or shoot.
Everybody
bad
knows
guys.
that, Lizzy.
That's unfortunate.
Shoot
Okay.
fucking animals. Jesus, bad guys, people. We're shooting everybody.
Amateur hour.
Cavemen, dude. I tell you what. So, anyways, later on at about 4 a.m., a train comes barreling down the tracks. Sees two boys laying motionless on the tracks. They're honking
They're
the
actually
horns.
jerking each other off.
There it is.
Is that why
Just
they
what I heard. I
died?
wasn't there.
Dude, we literally just hit the 15-minute mark, and we went 15 minutes without a single dick joke. Like, I'm looking at the timer. It's currently 15 minutes and 15 seconds.
It wasn't a dick joke. That was a masturbation.
a masturbation joke. Okay. Okay, that's our new record. We need to have like a thing on the wall that says we've gone 15 whole minutes without
Without
a
one
dick joke.
That would be awesome.
Anyways, back to the story of these two boys' horrible death. They honked the horn a bunch of times, couldn't get it. They just didn't move and ran him over because they were high on the marijuana cigarettes.
They had smoked 20 cigarettes.
Which led to their death. Terrible. But the thing that sells it to me the most is and I'm going to read, I hope this is not like illegal. I'm going to read straight from Wikipedia. If you want to.
It's not illegal. That's a public source. It's open source.
Oh, okay.
This is where everyone should get their information from, by the way.
You can actually go in there and edit it. You can actually change one of the kids' names to Jonny Wester if you wanted.
We should. Somebody go do that. Somebody. I want somebody that listens to the podcast to go and list me as a murderer under the death of witnesses for the Wikipedia article. Send me a screenshot of that.
We will post it on the podcast too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Give me a good death. The one that sold it the most to me was Keith McCaskill. I'm reading it straight from the Wikipedia article. November 1988, claimed that he was present at the train tracks, but began to voice concern that he had given his information to the wrong people. McCaskill made his own funeral arrangements in apparent fear for his life and said goodbye to friends and family. McCaskill was then stabbed 113 times on election night in 1988. That's terrifying.
Right, and so even more so. So going back to the coroner we were talking about earlier, and I don't have his name in front of me, but he was the coroner. So he said that he ruled it an accident. He said those kids
Dr.
smoked.
Fahmy Malik.
Yes, because he was from Egypt, and he actually blamed being from Egypt as to why people were chasing after him, and so
Classic.
he deemed it an accident. And he said that no, those boys smoked 20 marijuana cigarettes and got ran over by a train.
I love how aggressively we're all saying cigarettes.
Cigarettes. No, it's only Mitch who's saying it like that.
Yeah.
and so, but then the mom pulled a second opinion and found that the one of the boys had been hit in the face with a rifle butt. It was like caved his skull in.
Yeah, they
So it
had blunt
caved in
trauma.
It was blunt force trauma.
But at the same time, when you get run over, I guess if you're laying sideways on the tracks, maybe that won't happen. But like, dude, how can you tell what the fuck happened when you've been run over by a train for a mile?
I don't either. I don't know. I do know that they fucked up the investigation so bad that when they were cleaning up the crime scene, they left one of the kids' feet at the crime scene. I had to go back and get it. Yeah.
Wow. That's
like
insane.
The guy was like, there was 4 of them, right? There were 4 feet when we. The guy's like, we only have 3. Like, God damn it, Carl! Every time. You're the foot guy.
Last week you left hands. This week you're leaving feet. This is unacceptable. He probably got promoted after that.
One more time, and you're out.
Yeah.
And I just picture them like getting back to the police car and literally going, "There were 4 of these, right? Fuck."
Recount them, boys.
Count them back up. Start over.
Do they all have their toes?
I guess. And so the coroner was said that it said that the coroner had sawed the boy who got hit in the face, had sawed his jawbone and skull into so many pieces for no reason that you almost could not distinguish any cause of death on his face. Like, there was no reason for him to saw it up. But what my favorite part is I looked into other autopsies that he had botched up, and he one of them, the guy's head, his kappa was detated, so like he was decapitated, completely decapitated. And he ruled it. He said the guy died of an ulcer. I'm not making that up. He said,
the ulcer was so bad his head fell off.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I got a headache.
So the coroner's report literally reads that he died of an ulcer in his stomach, but his head was cut off. And then he tried to say, no, it's because the guy's dog ate his head off.
Oh my god.
What?
But that's not true. And then the other one was deemed an accident when a guy had gotten shot in the face with a shotgun 5 times. And they deemed it an accident. He deemed it an accident. So this guy's like known for being a bumbling idiot. And they called for his resignation. They went so far as to like take it to the Surgeon General of Arkansas at the time, who was this lady. I can't remember her name. And then at the behest of Bill Clinton and the Surgeon General of Arkansas, both of them were like, nah, he's a good doctor. We're just going to let him keep being a doctor.
That's insane. Yeah. That's wild. I can't believe.
And so that's where Bill Clinton initially came in to the story, was him backing up the Surgeon General. That Surgeon General, who did not fire the coroner for Saline County, ended up, once Bill Clinton was elected president, was actually brought in to be the Surgeon General for the country, for the nation.
Beautiful.
And so that doesn't seem suspicious.
No, not at all.
And then there was this other lady. Her name was Jean. She put together a drug task force to look into this whole drug thing that was going on in Mina and stuff like that. And the prosecuting attorney, the one we were talking about earlier, that got arrested later on for selling Xanax to kindergartners in
Xanax to kindergartners?
Sheridan.
That is
so they use their lunch money to buy Xanax?
Didn't you?
I think everybody in Sheridan's is on free or reduced lunch now.
Oh, so they use their free or reduced lunch card to buy Xanax.
Yeah,
that makes sense. They stamp it for them and they get some Xanax.
But she got fired. Like, they brought all these things against her because she was actually trying to pursue a task force to look into the drug situation that was going on in that area. And she ended up getting fired and becoming a school teacher. Like, she was a lead prosecutor.
That might have been like
to law school.
That might have been like the best deal she could get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she could teach America's youth?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, correct. I mean, the best deal she could get, like, they're like, listen, we're either going to kill you because we can't have you out here doing this, or you're going to do this for us, and then you can be a teacher. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like there's an ultimatum behind that.
I think she like went to like Michigan or something. Like, she left the South completely.
Yeah. I bet she's running from something. Now she's a teacher. That's where I would hide if I were running from something with a bunch of kids.
Michigan?
Yeah. There's definitely no. I'm not gonna make that joke. Never mind. Okay, moving on. So, there's a lot of witnesses that were murdered because of that. There was like one guy was slashed in the throat as he was trying to run away on his motorcycle. There was another guy that was killed. It says killed by a shotgun blast to the head. No investigation was made into his murder, and his body was cremated before an autopsy could have been done.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's insane.
It's absolutely insane.
No investigation. Yeah, he was shot in the head with a shotgun.
What's even crazier
good
is that the drug money that was running in and out of here was backed by the CIA. So the agency was actually backing this because they were using the money that they were getting paid by the cartel to allow this to take place and then they were arming the Contras to fight in the Iran-Contra deal down there. Like that was the whole thing, like the whole Iran-Contra. Lizzy, you're from Iran?
I'm not from Iran.
You're not from Iran?
No.
So where are you from?
My father's from Iran.
Okay, that's fair.
Another thing that people don't know about her is that she is the first half Iranian woman ever to date me.
And not physically abuse him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy about that statistic.
That's a good milestone.
Yeah.
You should put that in the journal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Back to the conversation.
Writing it down right now, Mitch. So.
Thank you. That's see, Johnny's got like 500 steno pads, and so he just gives them out.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so the CIA was what was backing Barry Seal and got the whole operation going, and he's the one. The CIA is what they bought the airfield in Mina that he was operating in. They bought the house that him and his family were living in. They bought him the airplane that he was flying, and then they brought the Contra forces to Mina, Arkansas, and used Barry Seal's land to train them using our special forces teams to train them how to fight and shoot and do offensive attacks and things like that, so that they would go back and fight the Iranian government in order to get them out of power. That was all happening right here. And Bill Clinton, the reason he comes into all this was because he was the governor of Arkansas.
Me too.
And
so
he was.
Yeah, I was too.
Oh.
No,
you were the governor.
I was the governor. Yeah, no, he was. Sorry,
Mitch,
go on.
keep
I feel like
going.
you're making that up.
I just wanted to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You've already interrupted me.
Yeah, I was the governor at the time.
Okay, Mitch. Please keep going.
That's all. That's really all it was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because this is.
I was hoping that all that would spark a conversation.
Well, I was trying to jump in somewhere in there, but you fucking bogarted the conversation. I can't look at you're not across from me, so I can't look at you or glare at you whenever I'm ready to talk.
There's also no visual references as to when I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, that's true. It is really kind of difficult to do this over the phone.
I literally just feel like I'm talking to you on the phone. Like I don't even feel like I'm doing a podcast right now.
Which I'm the worst. I hate talking on the phone. I can't stand it. It's like I would much rather. What do I have to say that much? I guess a lot because I do a fucking podcast.
Yeah, hours worth of content.
Yeah, there's a Saturday Night Live skit that just came out where it was the father-son podcasting kit, and it was their way to communicate with one another. And so there's a point where they're like, if things get too serious, just interrupt with a commercial. And they're like, one of them starts crying, and he's like, and we'd like to talk about our sponsor, Skillshare.
Let's think our first sponsor.
Yeah. You know what? Yesterday, I met quite a handful of people that listen to the podcast. It was really cool. But most of them, I mean, obviously most of them are from your gym. So it's cool to you get to meet some of the people from my gym. I get to meet some of the people that are close with you from your gym and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that's cool. Like I got to meet John House.
Yeah.
I met another guy that I don't know who he is, but I met him. And
What did he look like?
to be honest, dude, I don't remember. Those tournaments are just so exhausting for me. It really just uses up all of my, what do you call it? Extroverted, all of my extroverted energy, because everyone's, hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, I say the same thing like 15 million times. They're like, how you doing? Oh, hanging in there. Like as I'm running to the next mat. And so
You should just always respond with something that doesn't answer their question.
how's it going? Yes.
I told you 5 times.
Yeah. Oh, the worst. Me and a friend have a joke about this, but the worst question that I can't stand getting, and I understand it's people's like good, they're just curious about, how I'm doing and whatever, but like, when people are asking, the first thing they'll say is, how's the gym going? I'm like, dude, it's going the same that it went the last time that you asked me. Like, what do you want me to say?
That's a pretty reasonable question to ask someone who owns a business.
It is reasonable, and I try not to get like short with people, but
how often did people ask Sam Walton how Walmart was doing?
Probably all the time.
Well, nobody has to ask that because it's a given. Obviously, it's taken over the world.
And it's a given that Johnny's got an extremely successful school.
And it, I mean, look at me.
Johnny's living the life.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you wanted to know. We're recording out of our spare bedroom right now. So
I have multiple dollars.
we're loaded.
That's not a spare bedroom. That's a recording studio.
Yeah. Oh, this is a studio for sure. I've turned it into a damn studio. Now it's just like, what different answer am I going to give? Like, it's good. It's going great. Like,
just how,
what do you want me to say? Like, oh, I burnt it to the ground and I hate that place.
That's a conversation starter.
Yeah, it's
just like, hey, how you doing?
I get that. I try not to be too cynical about it, but it's when
Did I ever tell you about the time?
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and finish.
When I hear that question 15 times in a row,
it triggers you.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm tired of answering this. Like,
I understand that.
Let's move on. But I understand it's just people interested in my life and being nice. So
yeah.
Go on, Mitch. All right, dude. Whatever. See you later.
Did I tell you about the time I was at the
You weren't there for a minute.
He's just left for like 5 seconds.
I'm sorry.
Anyways,
I'm sorry. I was getting a text message because I'm doing this via my phone. So I was at the IBJJF Dallas Open one time, and I was wearing a Gameness shirt. I was wearing the 2017 Masters World Championship GF team shirt that was sponsored by Gameness. I think it was 2017. Could have been 2016.
Classic year.
Right.
Classic. And this guy walked up behind me and he goes, "Hey man, how things been?" And I immediately do not recognize him. But just like what you were saying, Johnny, when you own a school and you're a black belt and you own a school and you have, people know you that you don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
Just because you're one person and they are 500 people, right? And so, and I just assumed that maybe this was one of those situations where like he knew me and maybe I knew him too. I just couldn't remember. And so I said, "It's going great, man. Everything's fucking awesome. Thank you so much for coming up to a complete stranger and asking me that."
Yeah.
And he was like, well, he wasn't a complete stranger because he for sure knew me, or at least he thought he did. And then he was like, "How are things at Gameness?"
What?
And that's when I immediately realized he did not know who I was. But
he said, "How are things going with the WWE, man?"
But I get really socially awkward where I don't like embarrassing people. And so instead of me going, "I think you might have me mistaken for someone else," instead I said, "Things at Gameness couldn't be better." And he was like, "Man, that's so good to hear." And he's like, "So ever since Mark moved out to California, you guys are just doing things around here now, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a bummer to see that guy leave, but we're making it. We're doing just fine."
Just coasting through the conversation.
And then he, like, the whole time I'm panicking because I'm like, he's eventually going to realize that he's talking to somebody he doesn't know. Like, it's going to eventually happen where he's going to go, fuck, you're not who I thought you were.
He's like, hey, you're a fucking phony. What are you doing?
You're a phony. You don't work for Gamus. No, I didn't say that I did. You said I did.
Yeah. I just went along with it.
Yeah, because I don't want to embarrass you in front of all these other strangers. Why don't you go talk to them now? And so I just played it off, and I was like, yeah, dude, couldn't be better. And I was like, we got a new line of gis coming out. You should, keep an eye on the website. And, I was like, are you competing today? And he's like, no, I busted my shoulder. And I was like, no, I get it, man. I get it. Yeah. Well, cool, man. He's like, are you competing today? And I was like, yeah, I am. He's like, well, good luck, man. It was awesome to see you. And I was like, oh, fucking thank God that conversation's over. Like at some point we were going to start showing pictures of our kids to each other,
You probably
like,
felt
look
a
how
lot.
big he's gotten since the last time you saw him.
You probably felt a lot like I do right now that you're done with that story.
Relieved.
Thank you.
Sames.
Yeah, no, I feel you. We had a situation where actually I took Bop on a date to a fine restaurant.
When was this?
A Chinese buffet we have in town, Mulan's. It's
Shout out to Milan's.
Yeah, it's our first sponsor. It's the
Please sponsor us.
Shout out to the fine folks over there at Mulan.
Oh my God, if they sponsored us, I would be eating their green beans all day long.
I know you would.
They're green beans?
Dude, they have the best green beans on the planet. I don't know what
I
it
feel
is
like
about
of
them.
all the things you would get at a Chinese buffet, like egg rolls or
I know,
ragu,
right? Yeah.
any number of other things.
That's what makes Milan so special.
And I eat like dog shit. Like I eat like an 8-year-old.
He
like,
does.
If it's not fried or chicken or fried chicken, then I'm not eating it.
I don't ever see.
Lizzy's like just trying to make you eat with like the airplane. You're like, no.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wait. I don't think I've ever seen you eat fried chicken.
Oh, not just like regular fried chicken, like a drumstick or something, but like.
When
Do you just do like Cartman
fried
does
chicken
from South Park and just
whatever.
eat the skin only?
No, yeah. Just dip it in the gravy. Why? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I took Bop on a date there.
Oh, that was like the first time I had visited you in Conway. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Maybe I had moved here.
I don't know.
I
It
think
wasn't. It wasn't like a.
Internet?
Oh yeah, we met on Tinder and then Skyped for years.
We met on Tinder in like 2013 when Tinder
Is
was
that true
hush
story?
hush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're not telling fibs right now?
No, I'm
No
not.
fibs.
No fibs. We met on Tinder in about 2013, the year that like maybe a month after I opened the gym, maybe 2 months after I opened the gym.
Who goes on Tinder looking for a pen pal?
Well, I was going back and forth between Fayetteville. So,
Yeah. So like
Oh,
your
I gotcha.
location matches you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I got stuck with him.
She couldn't resist and swiped right. And then she broke my heart and didn't want to be with me for like a million years. And we moved on to other people. And then we found each other again on Tinder. No, I'm just kidding. We
Again?
didn't. No, not again.
Let's go back to what we were originally talking about.
The
Mulans.
Mulans. Yeah, more importantly, Mulans. Lizzy came to visit me. It was an actual date. We were like just going to lunch.
No, I think we were holding hands, so it must have been when I moved here. It doesn't matter. So we went to Mulan's.
This guy that I barely know walks up to me.
Wait. This is like the first time I've seen Jonny in like 4 years.
Yeah.
And like we're trying to make good impressions of each other.
And I nailed it.
So we walk in the door, and I don't know if Jonny is like an MMA fighter that's like this
Nobody does.
black belt, extreme professional.
That's
That's
actually on my business card. Black
That's
belt
not-
extreme professional.
That's not my view of Jonny. Like I've never known him like that. I've never even watched him fight. So this
I met
guy-
Johnny the same way you did.
On Tinder?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense now. So you keep going. You tell the rest of the story.
Oh, this guy walks in though. And or it was walking out, comes up and goes, "Oh, Jonny Wester, jiu-jitsu legend." I was like, "Right on, dude. Thank you so much for that."
I've never felt so sick in my life.
What a fucking bro. And I just like was shaking my head. I was like, "Okay, thanks, man."
My opinion of you changed.
It should.
Yeah.
For the better?
No, for the worse. Yeah.
Definitely for the worse.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe I came back down here for this guy after these many years and
He's a fucking jiu-jitsu legend, and he took me to a Chinese buffet.
in Conway, Arkansas. I've hit the jackpot.
Maeda would roll over in his grave.
Yeah. Elio will eat your heart out. That was the quick recap of how Bop and I got together.
The worst 3 days of my life.
Yeah.
No, it really was.
Yeah, it was. She actually left my house and said that she was never coming back. And then
In my heart, I was like, I can never see this person again.
that's
But I
absolutely
also
true.
said the same thing after I met your parents, and now I love your parents. So
Yeah.
yeah, things
Like,
change.
did you like left the house and you were praying for God to allow you to be in a traumatic car accident that would take away all your memories, so you
I
would never
felt like
remember?
I had already been in that situation.
You-
Wait, which time? The meeting the parents or seeing Johnny again?
Johnny was the car crash.
Yeah,
I
you
think
can
the-
accurately say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonny Wester is a car crash.
He is a car crash. He still is.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it sounds like you're very understanding in a car crash.
I think you just.
Hey yo, I
Hey-yo.
see you. I don't
You
even
don't
remember who.
normally just do a Thursday joke like that.
Right? Oh god, I hate that band now. Honestly, like
I only liked that one album.
I
I didn't even like
loved
Full Collapse.
I loved Thursday when they were a thing, and then now when I listen to it, it just makes my whole body cringe. I can't.
That's
I
how
can't
I
do
feel
it.
when I listen to any of your music.
Yeah, we've got a Negative Nancy on the show. We've got 2 album reviews to do today, actually, because we've put off the P.O.S. And
Both were incredible, by the way.
2-1 over here.
No. I'm on here to offer a different view.
That's fair.
My view's just different than yours. Doesn't mean it's you're wrong or you're wrong, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we gonna get into that right now? Is that what we're doing? Are we doing the album review?
I don't know. Maybe we should leave the audience
Well,
anticipating.
here's what we should do. Since we have 2 album reviews, let's do P.O.S. right now because we've put that off for an episode. We had a whole topic that we were going to talk about on episode 7 with Bryce, but you can't mute that TV
No.
show. You got to let Bryce go, man. And so we kind of ran away with that.
Fly.
Yeah, we had Kicking and Knocking. We still got to go over that one of these episodes. So that's coming up. The thing to think about, somebody was trying to, like, after having Bryce on, people were like, "Oh, dude, now you got to have, like, fucking Anderson Silva on, like, bring in this dude, bring in that dude." I was like, "Listen, guys, like, people do, like, hundreds of these episodes. We can't bring in, like, these hot guests every single episode." Like,
Jesus.
Bop, I'm not saying that you're not, like, a hot.
This is why I'm here
super-
today, everyone.
Yeah.
Do you know how much money it would cost us to every Sunday to have somebody like that?
Yeah, well, it's just like people start like, "Oh, you need to have, like, this guy on," and I can have you call this person and have them. I'm like, dude, it's too, like, we can't do this every single episode. Like, it's gonna be here and there. They're not all gonna be winners, you know. We're gonna have some boring ones too.
Yeah.
Our ADCC episode, I think, was our most boring one though.
That was an abortion. I wish that we could go back and find a way to erase that one.
But you know what? I've had a lot of people that say they actually liked it. They like hearing us just banter back and forth and talk shit.
You sound like a bunch of fair weather fans, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know why that's true, but okay. I'm just agreeing. Okay, so P.O.S. If I don't know exactly what that stands for, but I'm imagining it stands for piece of shit.
I asked
That's
a
what
few
I
people at work if they have ever heard of P.O.S. and they were like, "Piece of shit."
Yeah,
And I said yes.
Oh, they thought you were asking like the Urban Dictionary.
right.
And I said yes, and they said no.
No,
So nobody's ever heard of them that I know.
he's very much a underground rapper. He's very into the metal hardcore scene.
Right.
The album that we reviewed is Never Better, which came out 10 years ago, 2009. And I still think it's his best piece of work for sure.
I liked it a lot. I listened to it in the car. last week when we were supposed to cover it.
Yeah.
And he the genre that he falls into reminded me, and you and I talked about this, it reminded me a lot of Flowbots out of Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Flowbots were really big. They were kind of one of the, well, I don't know, the Fugees kind of did it too and stuff, but they were one of the few bands at the time that were a rap group but used live instruments.
Yeah, and all of the tracks on Never Better. I don't know if it's the case with all of the other albums, but on Never Better were all real instruments. Like
yeah, and you can tell, like it.
Mm-hmm. Real drums
because I
were being
remember when I
played
first
and all
listened
of
to
it.
it. What's that?
I said real drums were being played, which is like a lot of it.
And that was what caught my attention because when I was listening to it, I was like, man, if this is a drum effect, it's like the best drum effect I've ever
Right.
heard.
Yeah. He's he got a lot of really good musicians for that, and just he nailed. I mean, that album's just incredible. The title track "Never Better" is one of my favorite songs. Pure X is great. I mean, every song on that album is just fantastic. The lyrical content is incredible. I can't say anything bad about that album. It's insanely good. I've got a friend actually, Keith Baskett, really good friend of mine. I've known him for years. He lived in that house with me that I told you about on the first episode where we had the concerts and stuff. He was one of my roommates. He does audio-visual stuff, and he got to do an interview actually with P.O.S, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm pretty jealous of that.
I agree with you on the lyrical content also, because, anytime someone who is, we on the episode before, we talked about Run the Jewels, and Run the Jewels lyrically still had your common lyrical rap substance. The topic of discussion was what you would expect from a rap group, but P.O.S. I felt was not that case. It was more of, it wasn't really rap, it was more hip hop, but lyrically it didn't have the standard topic of discussion. He kind of seemed like he was really hitting on multiple different things.
There's a lot of like positive words. I'm trying to be, kind of different in that manner. Another thing that stands out to what stood out to me at the time was that he was dropping names of bands using samples from bands like Fugazi. He was dropping bands like ISIS, not the terror group.
The metal group?
The metal group.
Yeah, I saw those guys in concert.
Oh, really? Oh, man, I'm so jealous. That's one of my favorite metal bands of all time. ISIS is actually one of my least favorite terror groups, but my
I thought
favorite.
It was ISIS, actually.
No, it's definitely ISIS. Before ISIS was ISIS, there was ISIS.
Because it's named after like the god, like the Egyptian god or something, right? Something to that
I think
extent.
so, yeah.
They opened for. You ready for this?
Yep.
Tool.
Ugh.
Because I know that would be a power duo for old Jonny Wester.
Yeah. Man, that really just two worlds just clashed right there.
So they were opening for Tool, which I've given Tool credit for. They've always had some really good opening acts.
Yeah, I've got to give them props for that at least.
Because when Mike Patton was doing everything, all the side projects he was doing after Faith No More, a lot of Mike Patton's side projects, like Mr. Bungle, he had another one. Oh, I saw them open for him in Louisiana. It was a really good band. Mike Patton's amazing. But I was under the influence at that show. This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was a civilian when this show played. And I got into an argument with my ex-wife because she was like, this band's really good. And I was like, you're an idiot, because that's just Tool doing a sound check. And so the entire set in my mind was Tool coming out and just doing a sound check. I had no idea that was an actual band playing at all.
I feel like you had the military not turned you around, you were a few steps away from being white trash.
No, I'm already white trash.
Yeah, I'm already white trash.
Yeah, like I was born that way. There's nothing else.
You
that's
were
gonna
born
take
in
that away.
Louisiana. So
Exactly.
There's that.
Like, my mom had me when she was 15 years old when she dropped out of the 8th grade.
No, no. Now I've started a thing. I don't want to go down this and find out that I'm.
It's the truth. You know, sometimes the truth hurts.
I didn't
My dad
mean to
was
do
also
this.
14.
Back to the P.O.S. album, Bob. So, what was your opinion on it? I want to hear.
I mean, I appreciate it musically. I think it has a good message, and I think it mixes, two different worlds of music together, which I think is pretty neat. You don't hear that often. It's just not what I would listen to, but
Right.
I mean, I can still appreciate
You
it.
can still appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
What didn't you like about it?
It's just that style of rap mixed with like punk rock, would you say?
Yeah. Hardcore punk rock. Yeah.
I'm not into hardcore. I'm not into punk, so it's just not my style. But like I said, I appreciate it.
She doesn't understand. Like, I showed her videos of like Have Heart's last show, and then whenever I was supposed to go to Boston I had tickets to go to Have Heart's reunion show. I'm gonna cry if I start talking about this.
Again.
And I didn't get to go. Yeah, I wasn't able to go, which was like a bucket list thing. Man, I was like brokenhearted that I wasn't able to go. But anyways, I was showing her videos of those concerts, and she just doesn't understand like why it's fun to jump on people and walk on their heads and swing your arms around and try and punch each other.
This sounds like a game of Mario.
Yeah.
Walk on people.
It really does.
we should find like hardcore shows and sync up the Mario music to it. Do 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 do, and like somebody stomping on heads. Oh, that's good. Yeah, they sink down into the mosh pit. Do 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 do. They disappear into the crowd.
That's gonna be on the Patreon. That's worth doing.
I'll look up some videos. I'll get on it. Speaking of the Patreon, that's a great time to talk about that. So I'm an idiot, and I assumed that everybody would understand that if I had a Linktree link in there, which is like a link that leads to a bunch of other links, that people would understand that's where our Patreon is, and they don't. So I've got to add the Patreon link onto all of our stuff. So if you've been looking for that, it should be out by the time this episode comes out. That's probably why we're not making millions of dollars right now. I'm holding us
Nobody
back.
can find it.
Yeah, I've been holding this back. I'm sorry. But we have Patreon only content out, and I'm about to release one of my stupid submissions from Bad Positions on our Instagram, just as a little teaser. And there's some of it on the Patreon, and I think we're going to continue doing that series just because it's fun, and nobody else is doing it. I mean, there's nobody. Everybody has those moves. Everybody has those like ridiculous moves that work, but like you don't want to do because it's like shameful. And like the reverse chicken wing. And so I'm here to offer those shameful techniques.
And there's only 2 people that don't want to see it, and I'm one of them. And who else? There's one other person that said no.
Oh yeah,
I'm with you. One other person. Just putting that out there.
They don't want to see the stupid submissions from Bad Positions.
No.
Lizzy doesn't, but the other person, I'm not going to say their name because I've been trying to figure out who in the hell they are. Well, what's weird is like I'm pretty sure they followed you at one point, Bob.
Probably not.
Or you followed them or something.
Mine's on private.
Well, that's what made it so weird. Was like they were following you. They don't have any posts. It's who I sent to you, Mitch, and I was like, I think this might be Rolly.
Oh yeah.
And you were like,
nobody knows who that guy is.
You're like, that's not his name. I was like, exactly why.
It's
nobody
probably
would
one of
expect
your
it to be Rolly.
15,000 ex-girlfriends that are like, now.
It could be.
And then me.
And then you.
Yeah.
So that particular individual doesn't like those videos?
Well, they voted no. They could have just been goofing around.
They just want to hate on Johnny.
Or they could be hating on me. I don't know. But I'm curious as to who it is. If you're
I
listening,
don't know either. They follow me as well.
Make yourself known.
My fucking Siri.
You know who you are.
Yeah, we know who you are. No, I'm really curious because they like. They've commented on some like
Oh,
people's
really?
not on my stuff, but on like other people, like big BJJ people,
Oh.
and I see them on there, and then they follow like a small group of people that I know
Yeah.
that's kind of really particular. And
This
I'm
is
like,
a new conspiracy theory.
yeah, this is it.
Ooh.
Ooh, that's good. I like it. We're
Yeah,
gonna go
we
down
should
this rabbit hole.
Follow the leads here.
I'm gonna get to the bottom of this for sure.
You gotta follow the hashtags.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. We can follow the hashtags.
Hashtag follow the hashtags.
No, because I agree. This individual also follows me and also follows a very small particular group of people that you and I share,
Right.
and it's very localized.
But they don't all line up. Like
right.
the fact that they were, I can't remember if they were following you or you were following them thinking that they were friends with me or something. I think they were following you. And so that's weird because, you know, like the only jiu-jitsu friends that I have are close friends that follow my girlfriend. And then, yeah, the fact that it's just strange. I've seen them all over Instagram and I'm confused. I don't know what's going on.
This reminds me of the Always Sunny episode when Charlie gets a job in the mailroom.
Yeah. And he starts going through the list. Yeah. There's a guy that plays drums synced up to that scene. And so when Charlie starts going into his rant, you know, it's like pop, 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 and he starts playing drums to it. It's hilarious. Anyways, moving on. We really dove off there. Patreon. Go subscribe to our Patreon.
Sorry, I brought it up.
Yeah, you had to go there. You know what triggers me.
Yes.
Our Patreon, yeah. So we've been putting out videos on there, and I think that the stupid submissions from bad positions is just fun. We're gonna keep that up.
I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool. I was telling you today that I'm jealous that I didn't come up with it because I think there's something there.
I've been joking about it for a really long time because I have some really ignorant moves that are just they shouldn't work, and I've caught them on people, and it makes me so happy. But yeah, we'll keep that up. I've got plenty more coming at you. And then but we have this is another female episode. We have a female on the show, and
Yes, I am a female.
we have one Patreon shout out to give. We have one Patreon shout out to give. Stephanie Nichols. Do you know who that is?
Yes. Stephanie used to train at Westside. She was one of our white belts and really cool girl. She's a photographer by trade. Was really actually embedded like in the tattoo scene in Little Rock and stuff. Like she's
That's
pretty
awesome.
cool. She just came across the podcast and started listening to it and really liked it. So
Right on.
I'm glad to see that she gave some money.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and so she'll be getting a pouch in the mail. I send those out at the beginning of the month. So we have to order more actually because we ran out and everybody supported us too much. And now we're in deep. We gotta order more. So I'll be sending I send out all that stuff the first of the month.
Does anyone
Dude, how
ever?
cool is it going to be?
So
Go ahead, Lizzy. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna ask. Does anyone ever get like a T-shirt or anything such as?
So t-shirts are expensive.
Right.
And so we just can't like
Well, what if someone donates like $100 a month?
Absolutely.
They would get a T-shirt.
They'll get a hell of a lot more than just
Yeah,
a
because
t-shirt.
they would pay for the T-shirts.
Yeah. T-shirts are expensive. So like even the patches are a little bit too expensive for us to be giving out at $5
Yeah.
a month. But
That would be motivation for me. Like if I got like something wearable, like
Yeah.
a patch, I don't do jujitsu. I don't participate in the sport. But like a T-shirt, I feel like is
That's-
maybe
Or like a name tag,
a name
a
tag.
name tag I can stick on my
or maybe a
upper
bracelet.
bosom. Yeah.
That's the plan. Is we'll have t-shirts available, and then through the Patreon content or through the Patreon, we can offer like a discount to the people that subscribe to our Patreon. So maybe
Yeah, exactly.
you don't, like
Yeah.
you are supporting us. We don't want you to necessarily have to pay full price or something like that.
Okay.
Things like that. But the t-shirts are just maybe if we created another tier that's higher than $5, then we might do that.
Okay. I just wondered. I
Yeah.
didn't know what else you guys offer.
If you guys want that, hit us up and we can offer a higher tier that allows you to give more money, and we'll have to figure out some more benefits for everybody. But yeah, we're working on t-shirts. I've got a girl that's getting a direct-to-garment printer.
Sweet.
So once she gets that, we'll get the t-shirts going. Also, we've been meaning to do this for the past 2 episodes. We have a seminar coming up, a Rough and Tumble podcast seminar in Louisiana. I'll let you go through that.
So November 23rd in Sterlington, Louisiana at Sterlington Martial Arts Academy. Joey, one of our GF Team affiliates, is hosting it, bringing us down. Good dudes down there. It'll be a really, really good opportunity for people to fellowship, get together. There's a bunch of cool teams down there. You got a Gracie Baja team down there. You got a Chrome Gracie team down there. And of course, you've got the GF team as well. So it'll be it's open to all schools. Like, it's not an affiliation thing. It's a Rough and Tumble podcast thing. So
absolutely, I'll be bringing people down
for sure
from my gym. We'll be inviting people from all over. I know how close is Sterlington to? There's a whole state between Louisiana and Florida, isn't there?
Louisiana is no. There's our Mississippi.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say we've got a listener in Florida. I was gonna say he can come out too. He still can.
Yeah,
if he wants to make that drive. But whatever. I don't care. Do it. If you really want to support us, no. So I'm excited about that. That's gonna be a really cool opportunity because, like Mitch said, it's not an affiliation thing. It's a Rough and Tumble podcast thing. So everybody's able to come. We're gonna I don't like that Mitch used the word fellowship.
No, can I say something?
Yeah.
That triggered me.
It did me too a little bit.
Whoa. Okay. Well, I just went back to my middle school days whenever I had to go to Wednesday night church.
Yeah.
I was like,
why would you guys think that fellowship meant anything to do with church?
Because that's all that they call it in church.
I hear my youth pastor in my head saying, okay, let's get together and fellowship today.
Yeah.
That's just the context in which I associate that word. And apparently Johnny does too.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
When I was brainwashed in the Southern Baptist Church as a child, that was one of the triggers that they put in my brain. I almost found out I was a sleeper cell when you said that. I wake up. That was my trigger. No, that word is just
it's ingrained in my. I also went to religious institutions from the time I was in first grade to the time I graduated college. So it's very ingrained in my vocabulary. Yes. Thank you for that, Mitch.
Don't ever do that again.
Well, instead of fellowshipping everybody,
we're gonna have a good time.
It's a birthday party. We're actually having a birthday party.
Yeah. The Rough and Tumble 2.5 month birthday. The Rough and Tumble we didn't think we'd make it this far seminar. Our birthday
the Rough
party.
And Tumble, I can't believe people still listen to us and take it seriously.
When we were talking about, we really did dive into that conspiracy, but when we were talking about the conspiracies and stuff, Lizzy was like, I don't want to go into blah, blah, blah. Like, everybody already does it. And I was like, I think you overestimate how much we actually dive into it. Like, it's mostly just a launching point and a place for us to circle back to through our bullshit. Like, nobody's like, oh man, I really want to find out more about the boys on the tracks. I'm going to tune into
that on their own.
I'm going to tune into the Rough and Tumble podcast, and they're going to tell me all about it.
Obviously not what I was thinking. It just felt like it's so overdone at this point that I didn't want to, dig it back up.
Yeah.
But
I can agree with that.
No, I get it. Like, I get that.
Speaking of digging it back up, they actually looked to try to exhume the body.
They actually did dig it back up.
All I do is I do enough research so that I can place a well-timed dick joke somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
I do just enough to get me really believing in the conspiracy theory, and then I stop there because I don't want to know the truth.
My favorite part about diving into any of these Clinton-associated conspiracy theories is how funny it is to hear the way that people have committed suicide.
Yeah.
Like shooting themselves twice in the back of the head. Like, one guy killed himself by getting hit by a truck. It's just like,
right.
Weird stuff.
Have you ever listened to Elliott Smith? Is that his name? I think so. Yeah, Elliott Smith.
Sounds like a musician.
Yeah, he's a musician from like, I think he was popular late 80s, early 90s. That might be the wrong time period. But anyways, he's like super emo songwriter. I think it's Elliott Smith, definitely. And he killed him. Oh, we'll have to look into it, but he killed himself in a weird way. Like he did the whole samurai shove a sword through his stomach kind of thing, but did it like 3 times.
He did it to himself 3 times?
That's what the official ruling was. I'll have to look into it because I'm going to botch all the details if you guys make me get into this too much.
I'm impressed if that person out there did that.
Well, the theory is that maybe his girlfriend had done it. But you listen to his songs and you're like, this guy would absolutely kill himself.
Maybe he did the first stab. The girlfriend did the second.
Oh, it could have been like romantic and cute.
Yeah.
That's how I want to
I had a boss years ago who was from Hawaii, who was Japanese. And anytime he had when the samurais do that to themselves, when they cut themselves open that way, there's a rug that they put down and they kneel down on that rug and then they do the ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
He had one of those rugs.
Whoa.
And so anytime you fucked up on the airplane, like it was like a huge dumb mistake that you never should have made,
mm-hmm.
like instead of getting in trouble, he would just make you kneel down on that rug in front of everybody and simulate killing yourself.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to think it was pretty awesome. Like I was just like, man,
that's intense.
I want to be that. It was just seemed like it was such an over the top way, but it was. I just remember thinking like that's so much better than getting in serious trouble.
I'm just thinking like instead of like corporal punishment for children, like that's the way to instill complete fear for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Kneel down on this death rug.
But
kneel down.
In Mitch's job, it makes sense because the decisions and choices, right, are like life and death.
Right.
So that reality needs to be made aware often.
I think the same thing about children sometimes. Though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, like you talk to a child and you could be screwing up the rest of their life.
Oh, that happens a lot.
Which is why I love my job. I get to screw up so many children.
I showed my nephew I only know one coin magic trick. I actually only know one magic trick, period. It was one that I taught myself years ago, and I just really practiced it. I'm actually pretty good at it. And I can make the coin disappear and then, like, pop out of your ear. And
Mitch, everybody can do that.
I can't do that.
That is not an impressive trick.
It is.
I'm impressed.
See?
You haven't seen the trick.
I've seen it only a million times, but okay.
I can't wait to blow both your minds. It's not as good as David Blaine, but it's close. And so I was doing it to my nephew, and his mind was blown. I mean, he's like 8 or 9 years old, and he kept saying, "How do you do that? How do you do that?" And I said, "It's magic." And like with the most dead serious look on his face, he goes, "Are you telling me the truth right now?" I was just like, "Yeah, I am. It's magic. Why don't you go fellowship with somebody?"
Run along and go fellowship with your friends. That and potluck. Anytime there's a potluck.
Oh yeah.
That triggers me.
Yeah,
I don't.
You guys can't take that word. Come on. You got to leave us some. Potluck's a fairly common term.
Leave us. Who are you defending?
I don't necessarily think potluck is a trigger term, but there are other things like like Sunday brunch or like things that I would associate with
promise ring.
Yeah, promise ring.
That's a big one.
Were you ever given a promise ring?
Me, I was. Yes.
I've never. Yeah. Mitch. I gave Mitch a promise ring.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
True. Lizzie's never been in a relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Still to this day.
I hated that promise ring too because like I only gave her a promise ring because I thought it'd make her have sex with me.
Yeah, I gave out a promise ring.
You did?
When I was 17.
Johnny will do anything for pussy.
That's true.
It's kind of unreal.
Yeah, I rode in a Greyhound bus to Dallas one time.
Yeah, neither one of us are surprised, so
it's impressive. But I don't. Thanks for throwing me off there. I don't remember.
Well, we were talking about trigger words, and Mitch was talking about magic and nothing particular.
My train of thought is delicate.
Yeah,
you gotta be
now
careful.
You're thinking about pussy.
See how easy that was?
We were specifically told that we're not allowed to say that word on here anymore. Bob just broke all the rules. Yeah, the P word. I think it's men. Men aren't supposed to say it.
Oh,
Who told you that?
I have one, so I can say it.
Yeah, one of my
What do we have to
students.
say?
No,
We say cooter?
Cooter.
We can say biscuit.
What?
Cooter biscuit?
No, just biscuit. You never heard that? Or booger.
Booger?
I definitely never
These
heard
are-
booger.
Booger.
No.
You never heard rednecks like, oh, I'm gonna go get me some booger.
I've never
No.
heard that in my
Yeah.
whole life.
I've
what?
only heard one guy say that.
I feel like that was centralized to just your street.
Yeah, I've only heard one person say that. I had looked up like other words for. There's a website called othernamesforvagina.com or something.
Why don't
like
you
that.
just call it a vagina?
And because there's words like Justin Bieber, and that's another alternative.
Why don't you just call it that?
The old Justin Bieber.
The old Justin, give me some Bieber.
Just give me the JB.
Grab her by the Bieber. Speaking of triggers,
The biscuit one I'm not a fan of because you ever broke a biscuit open? It doesn't look friendly.
yeah. You ever broken a vagina open?
Well, I mean, I've looked at one.
I throw up every time I see one. I don't understand what the problem is. Does everybody else do that?
This is why I've still never been in a relationship.
Lizzy's about to walk out of the room.
No. I'm used to it.
So
It's like a fly. You always throw up on your food before you eat it.
oh god. We need
Womp,
to,
womp, womp, womp.
if we had sound effects right now,
Are we going to edit all this out?
no.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the only thing that's getting edited out is the thing that's getting edited out. We've gotten now where we're like doing the Bryce episode. I barely had to edit anything. And
Yeah, we're pretty
Well,
much at the point now where
that was just on a roll, one thing after
yeah,
another.
that was a great. We were really flowing on that one.
I'm sorry that I, as a guest, don't have any controversial things to talk about.
That's okay. We don't need controversy. We'll create it
Good.
ourselves.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
you've already been controversial enough.
I know.
By being a
Being a
female.
woman? Yeah.
You see, she's on the same page as I am. She knows. Now we've had a couple episodes where we just really found our flow, and it's kind of an interesting like thing to start like studying and like trying to get better at because it's just the art of conversation and saying.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
That's
Where
what
we
you're
said
talking
that-
about?
Huh?
Oh, I just interrupted. Goodbye. Sorry. Go ahead.
What just happened?
Nothing. You just said that's what you were talking about in a conversation.
No, we were Johnny and I were talking about before that basically these are they're just mats from conversations from the mats.
Yeah.
You know, like
We have these
I think
kind of
maybe that's where
conversations sitting against the wall.
resonation comes from is people the same conversations that we all have that we're having right now is the same conversations that are going on in gyms all across the country.
Yeah, for sure. Ours usually involve a lot more like penis jokes, and yeah, we get in some weird topics on the mats. I don't know. I think everybody like after every training session, we're just sitting against the wall and bullshitting. I think everybody in the world does that.
Did I ever tell you about the time that I thought that I could give myself AIDS?
No.
No. So I won't tell the whole story. I was by myself. Like there wasn't like another person involved.
How old were you?
I think I was like 15.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when you're first discovering yourself, and I would
That's
have
when you
like
were first discovering yourself?
Well, it was whenever so I'd already discovered myself, but nothing was coming out of it.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh yeah. There's
Yeah.
like that weird time. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, it's like you wake up one day and it's shooting stuff, and you're like,
It really
It
was
wasn't
like
doing that yesterday.
overnight. Yeah.
And so I was still kind of trying to figure this whole thing out. Like, on a Tuesday, I went in with blanks and came out on a Wednesday with a loaded cannon, and I wasn't wearing a flak vest. And so I would have these marathon sessions where like I was probably I was knocking the reps out. Like I was repping it. Like I was pretty good. And so,
I've been practicing for a while.
yeah. And so, a lot of times I'd have to go into the bathroom and, cause it was the only place I had that was private. And then, I'd be like, oh, well, if I was taking a poop, I'd be like, well, I'm already here. He's already out.
Yeah.
Might as well knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. And so, I would do my business, and then I would take some toilet paper and I'd clean myself up. And I was like one time I almost wiped my butt with the same toilet paper that I cleaned myself with. And I was like, don't do that. That's how you get AIDS.
Is this getting edited out?
Nope. This is staying in. Oh, man.
All I knew was that gay sex made AIDS.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what causes it now, obviously. This was my stupid, ignorant,
15-year-old
young, immature 15-year-old brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but at that young stage, I had registered that if you get any semen of any kind from anybody, including yourself, on your butthole, you get AIDS.
You were done. You were done for.
You might as well. Your basketball career is over.
Unless you got cold hard cash.
Unless you're blending up cash in a blender and drinking it with a smoothie. You're done. I've told that story before. Nobody believes me, but that was really just the weird shit when you're 14, 15 years old that you think are real.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot lately about like the horrible, terrible things that I've done to people when I was a child. And then now thinking about if I did that to somebody, that I would go to prison. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One time.
What were you doing to children?
Well, first of all, I was also a children. So don't make it sound like I was doing things to children.
What were you doing?
I was doing things to my peers. Well, there was a new kid that moved in. I've told you about this. There was a new kid that like moved into my neighborhood one time. And I had this like little gang of my little squad of friends that we all like ran around town and, just hood rats. And, but we didn't like this kid. He smelled bad and he talked funny. And, so I stuck a little thing of bottle rockets in his pocket and set him off.
That's so sad. I feel sad.
I thought that story was going to end with you saying that you put some bottle rockets in his pocket and then turned him into the principal.
No. I like blew up his pocket. He was like running down the street crying, and
that's
then
so sad.
We never saw him again. Yeah,
I can't imagine why.
But I wasn't. I mean, that was me being a bully for sure. But
what's funny is you said you never saw him again. I have a feeling you're going to see him again.
Yeah, he's gonna show up, half a leg. He's like, "Listen here, buddy." No, he was okay. We saw him at school.
This moment.
But what I mean is like he went to the same school, so I still saw him. He's okay. We just didn't.
Did you guys call him Rocket Butt?
Yeah, we just weren't hanging out after that. And like I wouldn't consider myself a bully, but that was a very bully thing to do. But that was also me figuring out like I don't like how I made that kid feel, or like I don't like the way that made me feel doing that. And at the time when I was a kid, I didn't have the wherewithal to go back and be like, dude, that was shitty. Like, I'm sorry. But definitely did a lot of really shitty stuff. Pushed a kid into a rock quarry one time, too.
Like he died?
No, he's fine. Well, he's dead now, actually. But
not because of that.
Not because of that, right. There's a girl that actually slid down the gravel hill. And we were at the top. She's like, "Oh my God, save me!" And he's like, "Don't worry, I'll save you." And I go, "Yeah, you will," and pushed him down. And and they both got stuck. It was
like super witty though.
Yeah, and they're still down there to this day.
They're still trying. Every time they try to crawl out, they're
still trying to get out. Yeah, no, those terrible.
I got into a fight with one of my best friends on the playground one time, and he had his back to me. So I was like, "Now's the time to strike." And so I like ran full bore with my knee in the air and like jumped. I missed him, but all I could think about was if I had connected, that kid's drinking out of a straw for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I thinking?
When
I was aiming for his spine with my knee. Like I took a running start and like
you would have paralyzed the poor
Street Fighter
kid.
Character.
I had one of those situations when I was in high school. I didn't get in I was kind of like a scrawny kid. I got in fights, but I mostly got beat up.
It's a good thing you filled out when you became an adult.
Yeah, good thing I'm swole now. Can you imagine me as a scrawny kid? I mean, just try to picture it.
Just take
Wait,
your
I
facial
thought you
hair
were
off.
fat.
I was until thanks. I was big boned and chubby, not fat. I was waiting for my growth spurt.
Okay.
I hit my growth spurt at like 6th grade. But anyways, in high school, my best friend is sitting at a table across from me, or he's standing actually, and this guy gets up, and he thinks, oh, he's getting up to leave, so he grabs the chair, and the kid sits back down and busts his ass in front of a bunch of girls, and he gets back up and like bows up to my friend, and I'm sitting at a table, and I've got enough time to like think and plan out what I'm gonna do. I'm like, this is my best friend. You think you're gonna mess with him? And so I get the idea that I'm gonna I'm gonna get on the table and jump off and put both my feet in his chest, and and so like if he does anything, because at this point he's just like up in his face. I'm like, if he does anything, if he pushes, I'm gonna do it. And so I have time to plan all this out, right? And so sure enough, he starts pushing my best friend, and I run across the table, put both my feet in this dude's chest, and land right on my tailbone on the hard tile floor and knock the wind out of myself. And thank God, like, it was over then, and I didn't get fucked with for the entire year because they thought I was crazy. But dude, I almost took myself out. It was bad.
You're just laying on the floor, just like,
Yeah. Oh my God.
I can't catch my breath.
I'm okay. That's pretty accurate. And then I learned how to fight. But yeah. Have you been in any fights, Bob? Have you had any situations like that?
I've never been in a fight.
Were you ever a bully to anybody?
Ever?
I remember pushing one kid down in 1st grade, and then we became friends. And that's the only time that I ever was physical with someone.
Wow.
Did you say that you guys, after that, you fellowshipped?
We didn't fellowship because he went to a different school. But then we like reconnected on social media years later. And I was like, hey, I pushed you down once.
Oh, I know this move.
No, he's
Also
like
known as
married.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah.
No, he's a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm. I bet
He doesn't listen to the podcast. You can tell us what you really think.
I really think that he's a nice guy.
That's fair.
It's funny that you whispered that, like you didn't want me to hear you.
Like he wasn't gonna. I don't want him to hear it.
Yeah, I've been mean to some people. That's how the podcast lets us express our true feelings.
I feel
about ourselves.
I get anxiety when I hear stories like that. I can't stand the thought of people being mean to other people. Like, I'm always the person that wants to like help the underdog.
I do too, and that's why it's like it stands out in my mind that I had done those things.
And I don't know you like that, so it's like weird for me to picture you, because you're honestly the nicest person that I've ever known as far as like a male goes. Sorry to say that on the podcast so everybody knows.
Oh my God, why don't you guys get married?
Yeah, I have a reputation to keep. Also, you set the bar really low there if I'm the nicest person that you've met.
So it's just weird for me to hear you talking like that because I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, like,
Have you not listened to any of these podcasts?
yeah, all we do is talk shit about people.
I've heard all these stories at least 12 times, and then I have to hear them on the podcast. So yeah, I'm very aware.
Now you're hearing them on the clock.
Yeah.
A lot of that too was like me trying to figure out. I think boys in general just try to figure out how to express their emotions, how to express, like, I think boys have a really hard time with that.
True.
Because we're so, there's, even if, like, I was always told, my dad always told me, like, some real men, or a real man isn't afraid to cry. And I was like, okay, but the fact that you told me that a real man isn't afraid to cry makes me think that maybe real men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the fact that you tell me that makes me think that maybe those emotions aren't okay for me to express, or those kinds of things. Like, whether people realize it or not, like, boys have limited emotions that they're quote unquote allowed to express, and so trying to figure out that.
What do you mean allowed to express?
Well, like things like crying, things like communicating their feelings. Honestly, like.
Wait, but what is that standard? Who's setting that standard? Are you talking about like parents?
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus.
Okay.
Just like society as a whole, like parents do it unknowingly.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of
television. You can blame it on. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I was born in 1987, not in 2019, where it was still
Well, I thought you were just making a statement, like a blanket statement that boys.
I am making a blanket statement, and things are obviously getting better. Things are different than whenever I was a kid, but she's like sticking up for all boys right now.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I don't think it's so black and white anymore.
I don't think so either. I think the internet has allowed people to express themselves freely and learn how to.
Now we have
express
people eating Tide Pods, so
yeah.
No. That was last year. That was 2018.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think that boys they have a limited set of emotions that I'll say that they're encouraged to share, or that that a lot of boys feel like they help me out here, Mitch. You feel like that?
I don't know how much I want to get into this conversation.
No, because you don't have emotions.
Well, because one, I was born in 1983. My dad is a retired SWAT police officer, and I'm in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I 100% agree with Jonny, but I don't want Lizzy to yell at me.
See, this is where we need to learn how to express our emotions, Mitch.
No. I think that's a good point, because I think it also depends on what's your influence.
Yeah,
so if you're
absolutely.
influenced in that way, obviously that's what your paradigm is. But if you're influenced, if you grow up with a bunch of sisters, or you have a single mom, or, like Bryce was saying on the last podcast, I mean, there's just, it just depends on what you're seeing every day, what you're surrounded by. But I mean, I don't think it's just a blanket, like, this is what boys have and this is what they're encouraged to portray.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Right.
Well, sometimes.
I
Is that
agree.
what you were trying to say?
We were talking about this the other day, that it's a human problem, or not the other day, like literally 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
It's a human problem, not a gender problem.
Yeah.
And I agree with
Correct.
that. However, in this particular instance, in this particular conversation, I do think that boys are looked at and expected to act a little bit differently with our culture. An extreme version of that would be like in Latin America, is very macho culture.
In almost all other cultures.
Yeah. There's
Russia, the Middle East, especially, Latin America, like.
and obviously that's extreme versions of.
Sure,
what
there
we're
is
talking
a
about.
very real dichotomy between the gender roles that are played within a society based on your geographic location and even religious, content to everything. The U.S. and Canada probably are two of the civilizations, I think, that are more progressive.
I feel like maybe like France and Germany.
Well, I completely agree
European
with
countries.
that. Like you
Europe,
said,
yeah. So we'll say Europe.
Like you said, it just depends on what you're surrounded by.
Agreed.
And I don't think that just because that's what you're surrounded by, or that's what's portrayed by society, that means that that's how it should continue.
Agreed.
And that's why
Yeah.
I'm opening up the conversation for a different opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with you.
Yeah. I'm
but-
not saying that it doesn't exist or I disagree. I'm just saying, like I said, it just, what you're surrounded by influences what you do.
Right.
So if you choose to perpetuate that, obviously that's what's going to keep occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the moral of the story is like, as a dude, you just can't be a pussy. So
Right. Don't cry.
No, that's not.
I don't believe that. Honestly.
Johnny cries more than I do, so I don't know how well
That is
his
not true.
story holds up.
That is not true. I cried 2 times. My dog almost died.
No, he did not almost die.
Dude, there was blood pouring out of his asshole.
Yes.
If that's not death, I don't know what is.
He had internal bleeding, but he wasn't going to die.
Internal bleeding. Did you hear that? That's like dead, right?
That's what I associate with.
And
No.
you've seen Ali. Like, this dog is insane. And he was laying at my feet crying the whole day.
Did he eat a chicken bone or something?
Dude,
He ate
he ate a
10,000
whole
socks.
he ate a whole package of tortillas.
Oh,
That's what it
right.
was.
Oh, so it cut him up.
I don't think it's the tortillas.
We
'cause
don't
he
think
did
that's what it
that-
was.
He
Yeah.
did that a second time, but he does eat like at least 3 socks a day.
I know that he's eating mice outside.
Oh, you do? I
For
know
sure.
that he brought a mouse to us, but he didn't eat it.
I haven't caught him, but I know that that's what he's out there doing, hunting down mice. Yesterday,
Wait.
Family.
I want to know the second time you cried.
oh, maybe I
too.
over exaggerated. I don't know if I cried.
Oh.
But Yeah. Last night, Ollie is my dog. We call him Bubba too. But there's a mouse that runs along the fence and then shoots up my gutter, like goes up the little drainage thing. And so my dog, in order to catch it, tries to bite the whole fucking gutter and just like cinches down on it to clamp him off. Like no shit, just
sense.
bites down on the gutter and then tries to rip it off the wall. And I was like, oh my God, a steel gutter. And that's this dog. But anyways, I cried then. I was a mess that day.
What is one movie, and this is a question for both you guys, what is one movie that you've cried at that you would rather not admit it?
Click.
What?
Click?
What's Click?
With Adam Sandler.
The Adam Sandler
Oh my
movie?
God,
Yeah.
that's what comes to your mind. That's the first
That's the very
movie.
first one. Yeah. I was
You
on
didn't even skip a beat.
No,
Like, that
I-
one was on.
I was on tour with
Oh my God.
with a band called Only Innocent Die, and we were all like a bunch of hardcore punk rock dudes. We were all tough, and that movie had just came out, so we went to go see it in theaters, and and all of us by the end were like crying and sniffling, and we're all like, "I'm not crying, you're crying. I'm more hardcore than you are." Yeah,
You're not core.
and yeah, I was Click. That's my movie. What's yours,
Pretty good.
Bob?
I'm gonna go a little further. I cry in commercials sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on the time of the month. Just to put it out there, but
That's fair.
I don't normally cry, but I get into these moods sometimes where I'm just like, ah,
Yeah.
and whatever I see, I'm just like, ah, it's so sad. Or I'll get on Instagram and there's these like puppy ones where they try to rescue the dog and it's like a pit bull that's been like
I can't watch
rocks
those.
have been thrown at it and I just can't. Like it just anything that involves an animal or the Arms of an Angel song, it tears me
Sarah
up.
McLachlan fucked it
Yeah.
up for everybody.
Yeah.
What about you, Mitch?
My Girl with Macaulay Culkin.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
When he got stung by the bees
Oh,
because he was going back to get her mood ring.
Yep.
Where's his glasses? He needs his glasses.
Where's his glass? Oh goddamn! That got me.
Yeah.
I'm crying right now. Actually.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me take a break.
Another.
Yeah. 'Cause he's like he needs his. She's like he needs his glasses. He can't see without his glass. Oh, that fucking got me, bro.
Another one that.
I'll tell you one that I recently cried out when I was watching it. It's I just forgot the name of it, but it has Rosie O'Donnell, and I was talking about it with you.
Flintstones.
No.
Oh yeah, Flintstones.
Yeah, I wish that were.
What was the baseball one? Boys don't cry or girls don't cry.
Yeah.
What was it?
No, it was.
It has Rosie O'Donnell, Christina
A League of Their
Ricci.
Own.
A League of Their Own.
Oh no, that's I didn't like that movie.
Who else was in it? You said Rosie O'Donnell. Who else?
Christina Ricci, Demi Moore.
Casper.
No.
the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Ghost.
That was a TV show where she used to throw the koosh balls at people. Nobody watched that. Okay, never mind. Another one that makes me cry is
Now and Then.
Now and Then.
That was like
The name
for
of the movie was Now
girls.
and Then?
For girls, that was just like the coming of age movie. And
Oh,
there's this scene where this old guy. They find out that this creepy guy that's hanging around the cemetery isn't just being creepy. He's going there to visit his son and his wife that were murdered. And they used to tease him and make fun of him. And then they realize why he's there and what happened. And it's just like it's a really moving part of the movie. But that's the most recent time I cried.
I hope
watching a
that
movie.
us describing these is making people cry right now.
I'm crying.
I hope so too.
Mitch is crying. Are you crying?
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hold-
dude.
Give me a second. I'm about to tell you mine, and then I'm gonna cry, and we're all gonna cry together on air.
You have another one?
Yeah. The never-ending story when
Oh, yeah.
Atreyu's horse dies in the
Atreyu.
yeah.
Yeah.
in the swamp
Yes.
of sadness,
Swamp of Sorrow. Oh,
Yeah.
Swamp of Sadness. Yeah, it was a
That's-
Swamp of Sorrow.
something like that.
Yeah.
Horribly sad.
And
There's-
he's crying, and then it makes you cry.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Artax.
Yeah.
Artax. Yeah, that was his name.
Yeah.
It was Artax.
Oh, that's a rough one.
That's a
so
pretty good one.
Now that we're all crying, let's hold hands in fellowship.
The only other one that comes to mind, and then we can get off the subject, I guess, so that because everybody's obviously having an emotional breakdown right now, was when The Land Before Time, when Littlefoot's mom dies,
Oh, Jesus Christ! You had to bring that one up.
and
Ugh.
he thinks that he sees her shadow, and he runs after her, but it was just a rock.
God damn
That
it,
one made me
Mitchell!
That was a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I think that pretty much covers everybody, honestly, as far as like
If you don't cry at
childhood
one of
movies
those,
that still make me cry.
you're not a human being. If one of
I
those
agree.
doesn't make you, if you're a male and you are trying to get in touch with your emotions, go watch one of those movies and you'll cry. And then
Or if you're trying to get laid, go watch My Girl.
oh, that's it.
And then in that scene, just let one tear go down your cheek.
Mm-hmm.
You're done. You got it.
We should have a segment where we give out really bad tips to get laid. Like just really, really horrible ideas.
Can I be on that one so I can tell
Absolutely.
you if
Of
that'll
course.
work or not?
Well, the whole idea is that it would be horrible advice.
Oh, so none
would
of them
never
would work.
Yeah.
So then you don't need me.
Well, you can do it too.
No.
What was your tactic?
Oh, I didn't have one. It was just to tell you that you were going to be wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's her tactic. Tell me
Yeah.
I'm wrong. And
Like one of my go-to moves to get laid by girls is I put gum in their hair.
then they have to take a shower. One
Yeah,
thing leads to
now they're
another.
naked.
Yep. I feel you.
Somebody has to bring the peanut butter over
put-
to get it out.
That would most
then
definitely
then
not.
my dog gets excited.
That would most
See?
definitely never get me laid.
Peanut butter in the
Without
hair?
gum?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lizzie hates peanut butter.
I hate peanut butter.
Elizabeth.
I think you can use mayonnaise.
Oh yeah, you
Oh,
can
God.
use mayonnaise too.
Can you imagine just the smell of mayonnaise while you're going
Male
at
hair. I don't think you'd. Oh,
it? Ugh.
I don't think
You know,
you'd be able to get it out.
Yeah.
of your
Talking
hair.
about like super weird things that you do to get laid. I wasn't trying to get laid in this situation. I was in the 6th grade, but I had a super hardcore crush on this girl. And it was also the first time that I had ever been. Who was the movie producer that got wrapped up in the Me Too movement?
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. It was the first time that I'd ever gotten Harvey Weinsteined.
Wait, you got Harvey Weinstein?
Well, you know what? I see how that sounds now.
Yeah. You
That's
didn't.
not what I meant.
Were you a part of the Me Too movement?
Yeah, well, I know. Right now, I feel okay. So now I have to give the context. So there was this girl I had a huge crush on in the 6th grade, and everybody knew how much I had a crush on her. Like it was obvious, right?
Hmm.
And I remember one of the bullies. Speaking of bullies, I was going to tell the story earlier too. Like out of nowhere, he's just like, "Did you guys see that? Mitch tried to kiss her," and I'm like, "No, I didn't." And they were like, "Yeah, you did. We saw it. Everybody saw it. Look at what Mitch did." They were calling me Mitchell back then, though. I didn't change it to Mitch yet, and
You hadn't made the move.
I hadn't gotten the executive decision yet. And so, and here's the shitty part. So the teacher comes up and she's like, "Hey, what's all the hubbub going on over here?" Right? There's a ruckus. What's the ruckus about? And this kid goes, "Mitchell tried to kiss her," whatever her name was.
You
And then
obviously
the teacher
didn't like
looks
it
at
that
her.
much.
The teacher looks at her and goes, "Is that true?" And she goes, "Yes."
No.
None of it was true.
Oh, that's horrible.
None of it was true. But here was the shitty part. She had really bad chapped lips, right? I'm talking like super bad, like where it looked like she had recently been removed from Human Centipede. Right? Like she was,
Oh no.
it was really bad. She was on the mouth to butt thing, but I tried to make my lips chapped too, so we'd have something to talk about.
Wow.
Yeah, fucking crazy, man.
Hey, I found this chapstick. You want to share it?
I wasn't even gonna do that. I was just gonna be like, "Oh, I see your lips are fucked up too." Like, I don't know if you noticed that
And
mine
she's
were
like,
as
"What?
well.
I don't have chapped lips."
Yeah.
I know. She's,
Thanks for
Yeah.
pointing out my medical disorder.
Yeah.
I know. I have eczema on my lips.
So, we have a second album review to do.
Oh
No.
yeah, this one was really good. I was super excited about this one.
I like it. I have some opinions about it, but I really do like it. The Menzingers, who I'm a big fan of, just came out with a new album called Hello Exile, and it's fantastic. It's So you tell me what the opinion that you were telling me earlier about Bob. I want to hear not yours, Mitch. You shut up. I want to hear Bob's.
Well, I'm not there, so I don't know who you're talking to. I'm not used to having Lizzy there.
No, because she has a point that I agree with on this, and I think that you might as well.
Like I said earlier, we just don't have the same musical taste, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate them. It's just when I listen to music, for me, tempo is kind of important. For them, on their album, I feel like it's very up, 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 and then up, up, up some more. And I think when I listen to music, I like when there's ups and downs, highs and lows. And for them, it's very bright and very high. Mm-hmm. And although I appreciate that, it's just for me to like listen to it and enjoy it. It's very hard for me too, because it's like, so I said it's a mix between Cartel, All American Rejects, and Band of Horses. Like I hear all of those things in different places. Mm-hmm. But and for me, I like more indie rock, more folk. I like, more of the blues sounding stuff when I'm listening to music. And there's just very jumpy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't think it was bad.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Mitch. What was your opinion on it?
As far as I'm concerned, they wrote the quintessential American rock and roll album. Like, as far as like modern American rock and roll.
You're gonna take that from Jimmy Eat World? You think that?
Here's the thing. That album, super comparable.
I don't think so.
Jimmy Eat World is more consistent because if you go back and you and I talked about this, if you listen to some of their other albums, I think it was called I can't remember. It was something to do with technology, falling out and breaking up technology or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like that was almost the first track on the album was almost a ska track, and then it goes right into some other stuff. But I did compare them to Gaslight Anthem, vocally especially.
I can hear that.
But Gaslight Anthem, huh?
I can hear that, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, when we're talking about these artists, and people are looking for comparisons so that they can kind of make a comparison. I would put them in the category. If you like Jimmy Eat World, you will like this album.
I don't necessarily think that because I really like Jimmy Eat World and I didn't see a lot of comparison there. Yeah. I'm just going to be honest. And I'm a big Jimmy Eat World fan, but I think there's a lot of differences there. But I mean, I can see some similarities, but I think they're very different still. But that's just my opinion.
For sure. No, and I vocally, obviously a difference, obviously between Jimmy Eat World and oh my God, I can't say their name now.
The Menzingers.
Menzingers, yeah.
Yeah.
Vocally, that's where the Gaslight Anthem came in, like from the 59 sound. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I heard a lot of that in that record being influenced. Obviously, I don't think that they took influence from Gaslight Anthem because
I think they absolutely could. Yeah, why not?
You think so?
Yeah, why not? I mean, like they might have been listening to the Gaslight Anthem pretty heavy when they wrote that album.
It's true.
It's a great band. Everybody, there's a lot of people that are into it, so I don't see why not. They could have been listening to Cartel or Band of Horses too. I mean, honestly, you hear those influences, and that might be your own influences, but it might also be stuff that they listen to. The thing that I think, so this album is not my favorite of theirs. I really liked it, but I agree that it's like 120 beats per minute, and it doesn't go below that. The entire
that song Anna.
Yeah, there is some slow.
Yeah, Anna was a really good track off of that, and it was more slow. But
I felt like that was an obligatory track. They had to put in a slow track. Now I get what you're saying. So the way that I think about it, or the way that I worded it, instead of the quintessential American rock and roll album, I think the song "America, You're Freaking Me Out," I think that is the perfect political song, because especially for right now. I'm not going to compare it to like things like Bob Dylan and those kind of things.
No, I agree. Did you watch the video?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
But the song itself is really I think it captures how people in the United States are feeling right now, because the lyrics are, America, I love you, but you're really freaking me out. And I think
Oh, I
that's
totally
like
agree.
where the United States as a whole is. They're like, we love this country. We don't want to move out of it. We don't, we've been here with this. We support this country, but you're really starting to freak me out. Like, you're
We
really
became a
starting to get weird.
product. We became a product of our own devices, in the sense that um, when it comes to freedom of expression, freedom of speech, um, I think we, and not in favor of censorship. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think for a lot of years you had a lot of people who were less inclined to express themselves,
Right.
and so we've developed a very open culture, of open forum culture.
I think it's 100% the internet. Like, absolutely.
Yes.
The internet. We're running into, I say this all the time, like, we're running into the first generation of people that have only had instant access to everything they want all the time and be able to express their opinion in any way, shape, or form at
With
any
no
time.
repercussions.
Right. And that's the first full generation that's like grown up like that. Because I grew up with the internet, but I didn't really, we had computers and we had the internet when I was in 6th grade, but we didn't really have the internet. We didn't have smartphones until I was like 19. Probably like 18 is when I really started getting, smartphone capabilities, that like what we think of now. But I think the internet, I think it's really done a number on our country in particular. But that album, I think it's great. Strawberry Mansion was one of my favorite songs off of it.
Mm-hmm.
The album,
The title track was really good.
yeah, it was. The album, I haven't listened to their previous album because I didn't even know that they came out with that. But the album before that, Rented World, was like a really important album to me. And I think that one would be a better comparison to Jimmy Eat World, because it's a lot more pop punk, catchy, fun kind of stuff, but it's got a lot more of the highs and lows. There's some very depressing songs on that, but still with a little bit of that Menzingers feel to it. And so I think that album is their masterpiece for sure. But this album is definitely, it's another solid one. Like a lot like we talked about that Oso Oso album.
Yeah.
It was really, really good, and it was really, really solid. Oso Oso, I feel like, had a couple more standout tracks. This album is really good, really solid from start to finish, but it has nothing that like really jumps out at me.
No, I would almost say if you took that song Anna out, if you took it out completely and just played it from track 1 all the way to the end, it would almost sound like the same song.
Yeah, you'd have a hard time.
That's also something that I noticed. It was, like I said, that everything was very similar. Like the tone, the beat, the tempo, it was just, and for me, I don't know the lyrics, and it's also really hard for me to understand what they're saying unless I looked it up.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like la 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 la, just over and over.
Yeah,
it's just a different point of view from my perspective, because I don't know, too much about them. Just hearing them like right off the bat, I was just like, wow.
I think they found a formula for success out of Rented World. They were like, this is how we write.
Just
good
like Nickelback.
songs. Yeah. Well, except they're writing good songs. The Menzingers.
Who, Nickelback? I agree.
I hate you so much right now.
Under this photograph.
Look at this graph.
But I think they found the formula out of Rented World, and they tried to carry on with that. They tried to like just continue the momentum of that album, and it just turned into one big long song basically. But
I can tell you this.
I agree with a little bit of everybody's opinion.
If they came to Little Rock,
they do.
If they came again, 1, I would totally go see them, and 2, I think the show would be a blast. Like that, I think that album is definitely a live show album because of the entertainment.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that.
A lot of times when artists write these songs, when you're writing the song and you're in the moment and you're jamming with your band and you're like, fuck, this is a good fucking song. and then you lay it on a track, and it loses its depth, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think too, it being a little bit more of a political album might have some influence on just that driving, like we've got to do something, kind of keep the energy going. And that might be as well. I don't know how political all of the other songs are. That opening track though is nothing but political. And the thing that I appreciate about it is, though, I usually hate those kind of songs that are just over the top political, but they did it in a manner that is a little bit more subtle and a little bit more middle of the road. I mean, just the name of it, America, You're Freaking Me Out, it is like very middle of the road. There's no fuck you one way or the other. It's just kind of like, I love you, but you're freaking me out. Let's work on it, you know?
The video is an alien crashes on Earth.
Okay.
There's these two rednecks sitting outside of an above ground pool and drinking beer, and a UFO crashes in their pool, and it's the alien, and he's traversing the United States, like
getting freaked out.
He's an alien. Yeah, he's freaked out, and then slowly but surely, however, he buys into the culture, and next thing you know, he's one of those rednecks drinking beer with, like a Daisy Duke model.
Yeah, they have another album or another video like that from one of their albums. That's like, it's like a Frankenstein walking around.
I think that's a pretty good idea for a video, though.
Yeah, no, it is.
I mean, because imagine someone just from like the 1990s landing into our society today and being like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What? All these women got jobs."
Yeah.
Equal pay.
Women had jobs in 1990, Mitchell.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a different time.
Yeah. You're thinking of the 1980s.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Only 10 years after we discovered the United States. 1976, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's
72. 1972 it was.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's 76. 1976. History with Johnny.
You're thinking of when they signed the Constitution, which was in 1976.
Yeah. Lizzie's running camera duty again because she's closest, and since I have 11 devices up, I can't get the camera working. But anyways, I think we've bullshitted enough. This is another 2-hour episode, so
I agree.
A little bit slower this time around. But since I didn't shout out all the ways that you can listen at the beginning yet, you can. We still need followers on Instagram. We reached our 100, and then everybody just gave up on us and stopped. So go follow us on Instagram, share, like, review on iTunes. You can watch or you can listen on YouTube. We're working on our videos so that you can watch all of those on YouTube. I did on Patreon, though. I just released the entire episode on video with Bryce. So episode 7, that entire episode is on video on our Patreon. If you can handle, my camera will only record 20 minutes at a time. So there's some gaps in there where we had to turn it back on. But I put it all together on Patreon. So go subscribe on Patreon and you can watch that. When you search our name on there, make sure you type in the Rough and Tumble Podcast, and that's how you can find us. I'll have those links updated, and that's about it. Mitch, do you have anything?
I'm here in Colorado for the next 3 weeks, so you guys will just have to bear with the sound quality, doing it the way we're doing it, and then I'll be home on November 8th. So the November 12th episode will be back to normal. So
we'll make sure that's a big episode. We'll do something crazy for that one whenever you get back. And Lizzie can fill in until then.
Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, guys. You got to deal with that. We're going to have a special segment that I call arguments that I get in with my girlfriend every day. And that's going to be a good one. And we're going to do some live action arguing on air. No, it'll be great. So anyways, we also have the Spotify playlist that we'll be putting some of our favorite songs from both the P.O.S. album and the Menzingers album on there. But I think that's about it. So we'll see you guys on episode 9. And thank you guys for all the support as always. Talk to you later.
See ya.